The dust has settled on the 76th annual conference of the Jamaica Labour Party, and in comes the People's National Party's analysis of the presentation made by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The opposition describes the address as flat and nothing more than a series of old announcements repackaged. Robian Williams has the details.
A bunch of optics without substance, anticlimactic, bungled and flat. The People's National Party is charging in with criticism. General Secretary of the PNP, Julian Robinson, says it was an opportunity missed by the Prime Minister.
From our perspective, we felt that his entire presentation did not address the critical issues affecting the country and really missed the mark.
On crime, the PNP highlights that there was no acknowledgement of the increasing murder rate, neither was there an outline of a crime plan, but only the constant reliance on what it calls failed states of emergency and zones of special operations.
Those measures alone cannot solve the problem, and as I said, with 6 states of emergencies and other zones in effect right now, we are having more murders in 2019 than we did in 2018 or 2016.
Robinson says the opposition is still concerned that the government has not indicated how it will address the myriad of corruption cases affecting the administration. However, Holness made one thing clear.
The government does not intervene or interfere, and that message goes to the opposition as well. Leave the anti-corruption and policing agencies to do their jobs.
And on the state of the economy,
we are proposing a reduction in GCT to alleviate the burden that is affecting many vulnerable Jamaicans. The reality is that prosperity has remained an illusion for the majority of Jamaican people, and we believe that with the increased fiscal space that the government has, it should give something back to the average consumer.
On education, there was, however, an agreement to some extent with the Prime Minister's plan to build 6 schools specializing in science, technology, engineering and mathematics, STEM, in the next 3 to 6 years.
We have no disagreement with that. The STEM disciplines are obviously important and more emphasis needs to be placed on that. So something like that I believe is good for the country, and we would support something like that.
The opposition says the presentation by Prime Minister Andrew Holness amounted to nothing more than a series of ramblings. Robian Williams for CVM Live.
Leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, has come to the defense of civil servants, following calls for the removal of non-performing permanent secretaries from their ministries. The details of Dr. Phillips's address to the NEC meeting at the William Knibb Memorial High School in Trelawney in this report. During his address to PNP loyalists at the party's National Executive Council meeting, Leader of the party, Dr. Peter Phillips, responded to a statement by Chairman of the Economic Growth Council, Michael Lee Chin, that the permanent status of permanent secretaries under the Jamaican Constitution has to be removed to enable higher GDP growth levels.
I am not here picking a quarrel with the chairman or any other members of the Economic Growth Council, but it is not right to explain these failings because of the supposed non-performance of permanent secretaries or civil servants.
Dr. Phillips noted that all but 4 current permanent secretaries have been appointed under the Andrew Holness-led administration. He also repeated his assessment that the ongoing use of the SOEs is ineffective in reducing the crime rate.
A state of emergency is not a crime, and a state of emergency has not delivered and cannot deliver on the long-term needs of the country for a steady reduction of criminal behavior. That will involve many things. It will involve effective police work. And effective police work is not going to be done by having some young soldiers stand up at the roadblock waving cars to pass.
Dr. Phillips is of the belief that the slogan which drove the JLP to victory during the last general election has not come to fruition.
But the reality is If there is any prosperity around in the country, it is not reaching the majority of the people.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness is repeating its call for the public to get vaccinated. The height of the season is now here, and the medical fraternity is keen to reduce the effect of the flu virus. Christine Forbes has our report.
The peak of the flu season is approaching, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness is urging the public to exercise precautionary measures to reduce the risk of contracting the virus. The public is being warned to take the flu seriously as it can lead to pneumonia and blood infections. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bissesa-McKenzie advises on the other effects of the flu.
The flu can worsen chronic medical conditions such as heart or lung disease. Persons at highest risk of dangerous complications from the flu are infants and young children, adults 60 years and older, pregnant women, and persons with chronic medical conditions or weakened immune systems.
The flu virus is easily spread from one person to another through sneezing, coughing, and close contact. The ministry is offering flu vaccine free of cost to those most vulnerable. This includes healthcare workers, children, pregnant women, and the elderly. The medical officer says the public must protect themselves.
We want to remind members of the public to practice good hygiene, including washing hands with soap and water and covering the mouth and nose while coughing or sneezing, which will help to prevent the transmission of the virus. Persons with the flu should get adequate rest, avoid close contact, and avoid touching eyes, nose, and mouth.
The ministry advises that citizens should make an effort to get the flu vaccination once per year. Christine Forbes reporting for CVM Live.
The Jamaica Aid Support for Life is calling for more safe spaces for victims of gender-based violence. The group says the alarming number of people, mainly women, affected by violence is a serious cause for concern that requires a multifaceted approach. The group led a march to create awareness about the issue in Kingston earlier today. Jamaica Maitland reports.
Youth from across the island painted halfway tree purple as they marched in protest calling for an end to gender-based violence. The protest, though silent, sent a strong message to those who carry out violence against women. November 25 is globally recognized as International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Policy and Advocacy Officer at the Jamaica Aid Support for Life, Patrick Layla, says there is not enough support for women. He's calling for more safe spaces.
So a lot of women want to get out of this situation, but they live in a house that belongs to the man that's abusing them. They are being maintained by the man that's abusing them. So what we need is more shelters for battered women. We need more shelters that can give these women some hope, because the concern is always, where am I going to live? Where am I going to go with the children if I get out of this situation?
And one survivor of gender-based violence, Tashima Brown, recounts her experience. She was a victim of incest and rape as a child. But Ms. Brown says she was able to overcome with the help of Eve for Life.
I was lost until I met Eve, and Eve turned everything around. So we need to look out for the signs and don't say how bad the child bad. No child is bad, they are just crying out for attention.
And one volunteer, Daniel Beckford, describes the march as inspiring. He's calling for more males to play their part in the fight against gender-based violence.
Whether it's a case where the male is the victim or the male is a perpetrator, they're involved in any particular way. So I believe that in order for us to further the conversation surrounding gender-based violence and violence affecting women, especially because today is the International Day against violence, International Day for Violence Against Women, I believe it's important for us males to be a part of the conversation and to be out here to represent our women.
Jamaica Maitland for CVM Live.
Residents of Hope Pasture, St. Andrew, are not letting up. They want their concerns addressed. Recently, the management of Hope Royal Botanical Gardens told CVM Live that despite a significant loss in revenues, they have been complying with new rules and hosting just 2 events per month. However, at a Hope Pasture Citizens Association meeting on Sunday, residents argued that Hope Gardens hasn't been adhering to the restrictions. Aladdin Love reports.
Having reached the end of her term as president of the Hope Pastures Citizens Association, Cheryl Wright outlines that this year has been very challenging for the executives in dealing with issues such as unbearable noise from events held at Hope Botanical Gardens. However, she wants the residents to appreciate that progress has been made as the mayor of the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, KCMC, has taken steps to ease their cry for peace and quiet. But the residents believe more needs to be done, highlighting that Hope Botanical Gardens has been going against the orders of the KCMC to host 2 events per month.
The mayor had asked for the back gate to be closed, and every single night when there's an event, the back gate is open.
However, the president of the Hope Pastures Citizens Association clears up what seems to be a misunderstanding.
As I remember it was not something that I would have confirmed with the mayor. What I remember the mayor committing to was one that he would reduce the number of parties, and I think he was very specific parties, which is noise events to 2 events per month.
Also agreeing with the president of the association is Inspector in charge of the Papine Police, Mark Harris.
I think there's going to be a lot of improvement. However, I can break it down. And as Madam Minister said, the mayor alluded to that. There are months, there are times, and there are events that change the way all permits are issued as it relates to there.
Meanwhile, the Member of Parliament for the area, Favour Williams, notes that a report from the mayor shows mostly charity and corporate events being held at Hope Gardens. She assures the residents that she will be reviewing the concerns as well as having discussions with